Here's something women don't say out loud, but every woman feels it. Some men leave an emotional imprint that never fades, even if he wasn't the best looking, even if the relationship didn't last, even if things ended on a complicated note. There are certain things a man does that make a woman never forget him, not because she chooses to hold on, but because her body holds on, her mind remembers. Her heart stays slightly open, even years later. And no, I'm not talking about romantic gestures, expensive gifts, or being nice. That's not what sticks. What stays with a woman is how a man made her feel about herself, how deeply she felt seen, how safe she felt to be soft, and how hard it was to replace the version of herself she became around him. Most men try to win women with effort, but the men we remember, they're the ones who impacted us without trying too hard. The ones who had substance, presence, stillness. The ones who didn't just say the right things, but moved us in a way we couldn't shake. This video isn't about tactics, it's about truth. If you want to be the kind of man a woman remembers, long after she walks away, dates someone else, even marries someone else, then listen closely, because I'm going to walk you through 7 specific things that leave a lasting imprint on a woman. And I'll say this clearly. Once she's felt them, she never forgets. 1. She remembers the man who made her feel safe to be soft. There's something powerful, almost disarming, about a man who creates space for a woman to drop her guard. And it's not something women find often. Most of us are walking around with layers of defense. We're praised for being strong, admired for being independent, and told to always be unbothered. But truthfully, most women crave the chance to be soft, just not with any man. A woman never forgets the man who gave her permission to let that guard down, not because he told her to relax, but because his energy made her feel safe enough to. His presence was calm. His tone was steady. He wasn't judging, reacting, or trying to control the conversation. He just listened, fully. That's rare. And when a woman feels truly heard, something shifts in her. You want to be unforgettable to a woman? Make her feel like she can finally take a deep breath around you. Like she doesn't have to be in her masculine. Like she doesn't have to explain why she's guarded. You see it. You respect it. And still, you're steady. That's powerful. This kind of man doesn't rush her emotions. He doesn't get insecure when she's quiet. He doesn't interpret her softness as weakness or take advantage of it. He honors it. And here's the part you might not realize. Once a woman experiences that kind of emotional safety, it becomes almost impossible for her to fully attach to a man who doesn't offer the same. Even if she moves on, she'll compare every man after to the one who made her feel emotionally protected without demanding anything in return. That feeling of safety, of being seen without being picked apart, it leaves a mark. Not in a clingy way, in a soul-deep way. Because when a woman feels like she doesn't have to perform around a man, that's when she truly attaches to him, not because he took control, but because he made it safe for her to let go. 2. The one who never lost himself. Trying to impress her. Here's a little secret. Most women can spot it instantly when a man is trying too hard. It's not just what he says, it's the energy behind it. The nervous over-explaining, the fake confidence, the constant look-at-me moments. It's not attractive. It actually does the opposite. It makes us feel like you're trying to get something from us, and that makes us pull away. But the man we don't forget? He's the one who never traded who he was just to impress us. There's something deeply magnetic about a man who's solid in himself. He doesn't have to prove he's interesting. He doesn't feel the need to list his accomplishments or flex his lifestyle. He just is. He shows up as himself, unapologetically, calmly, and without performing. This isn't about being aloof or arrogant. It's about being anchored. And women feel that. When a man isn't chasing approval, especially from women, it sends a signal. I know who I am. I don't need your validation to feel worthy. That's rare. That's attractive. And that's the kind of man a woman will replay in her mind, long after he's gone. A lot of guys fall into this trap of trying to be the guy they think she wants. They start changing their opinions, hiding their true interests, or trying to match her vibe instead of owning their own. And here's the truth. Even if she plays along for a while, deep down she's already lost respect. Because women don't want a man who becomes smaller around them. We want a man who's real enough to hold his ground, even when we test it. And we will test it. Not out of cruelty, but because we're wired to want to feel a man's strength. Not just physically, but emotionally. We want to know, can he hold himself when I pull back? Will he stay grounded when I'm moody, distant, or unsure? Or will he collapse and try to fix everything just to keep me happy? The unforgettable man is the one who doesn't perform. He doesn't become a character. He doesn't overpromise or chase. He shows up real and trusts that who he is enough. And whether she admits it or not, that kind of man, he's the one she thinks about months later, because most guys fumble trying to win her over. But he stood out because he didn't need to. He let her come to him, because he never left himself in the process. 3. The man who saw through her walls and didn't run. You know what most women are terrified of? Being truly seen. Not because we don't want to be understood. We crave that deeply. But because being seen means being vulnerable. And that's scary. Especially for a woman who's been hurt, disappointed, or misunderstood more times than she can count. We build emotional walls, not because we're cold or manipulative, but because we've learned that being soft can cost us. We act tough, distant, sarcastic, even emotionally unavailable. And half the time we're testing to see if a man can really handle us. Not just the pretty parts, but the messy, complicated, emotionally layered parts too. And that's where most men back off. They see the wall and either get scared, frustrated, or bored. They label us as too much, or too complicated, or not worth the effort. And you know what? That's fine. Because it filters out the ones who were never capable of seeing us in the first place. But the man we never forget. He's the one who saw through it all and stayed. Not because he tolerated bad behavior or accepted drama. No, he stayed because he understood. He knew the distance wasn't rejection. The attitude wasn't hatred. The silence wasn't disinterest. He saw it for what it really was, protection. And instead of forcing his way in or demanding instant openness, he gave space, patience, and quiet strength. He made her feel safe, not with grand gestures, but by being emotionally consistent. He didn't flinch when things got heavy. He didn't run when she got triggered. He held steady, not reactive, not needy, not trying to fix her, just solid and present. That kind of emotional maturity, it's unforgettable. Most men want the easy version of a woman. The always cute, always happy, emotionally available, low-maintenance fantasy. But real women come with depth, with fears, with layers. And when a man can meet her in that depth, without losing himself, he earns a place in her heart that's hard to erase. She may not tell you this, but when a woman realizes you've seen her, the real her, and didn't judge or abandon her, it creates a bond she won't forget. Even if you two don't last. Even if she's the one who walks away. That kind of connection leaves an imprint, because for most of her life, she's had to hide parts of herself to feel accepted. But when she meets a man who sees it all and chooses to stay present, that's not just attractive, that's rare. and rare is unforgettable. 4. The man who set standards and stuck to them. Let me tell you something most men don't realize. Women respect boundaries more than they'll ever admit out loud. A lot of guys think that in order to keep a woman interested, they have to say yes all the time, tolerate her moods, avoid conflict, and just go along with whatever she wants. But the truth? That only works if you're trying to be liked, not if you're trying to be respected. And trust me, respect is what actually holds a woman's attraction over time. We remember the man who didn't let us walk all over him, not because he was controlling or rude, but because he knew himself. He had a clear sense of what he stood for, what he expected, and what he would and wouldn't allow into his life. And more importantly, he stuck to it. You want to know what turns off most women faster than anything? A man who says one thing, then does another just to please her. Or a man who starts out with confidence, then loses it the moment she tests him or pushes a boundary. We notice that. We feel it. And it kills attraction instantly. Women test men's boundaries all the time. Not always consciously, but we do it. Why? Because we want to know if the man we're with is emotionally grounded. We want to feel safe with someone who can lead, not someone who gets easily swayed by our emotions or approval. So when you hold your standards, calmly, confidently, and without needing to explain or justify, that's powerful. That tells a woman, I don't need to control you, but I will control myself and how I respond. And honestly, that earns more respect than being overly nice ever will. Here's the thing. Women might complain about your boundaries in the moment, especially if they're used to getting their way with most men. But deep down, we remember the ones who challenged us to grow, who made us pause and reflect, who didn't let us manipulate the situation or guilt-trip our way into control. That's the kind of man who trains a woman to see him differently. She knows she can't treat him like a fallback option or an emotional sponge. He has standards, and if she wants to stay in his world, she has to meet them. It's not about being arrogant or stubborn. It's about self-respect. And when a man has that real, quiet self-respect, it forces a woman to step into her own accountability. Not every woman will rise to that. But the ones who do, they never forget the man who held the line. Because deep down, we all crave leadership, strength, and emotional stability. And when a man consistently lives by his standards, without needing applause or approval, that's unforgettable. 5. The man who made her feel desired, not just wanted. There's a big difference between a woman feeling wanted and a woman feeling desired. And most men don't even know the gap exists. A woman can feel wanted by almost anyone. Compliments, attention, flirty texts, sexual advances, all of that is surface level. It says, I like the way you look. I want something from you. And while that might give her a little ego boost, it fades fast. Because every woman knows there are men out there who would say the same thing to 10 other women in the same day. But desire? That's different. Desire is when a man makes her feel like she's the only one he sees, like he's genuinely captivated, not just by her body, but by her essence. That's when she starts to melt. Women never forget the man who looked at them like they were art, not in a cheesy or performative way. I'm talking about that raw, grounded presence. The man who made eye contact and didn't flinch. The one who took his time, who noticed her small details, how she moved, how she spoke, how she thought. The man who didn't rush to get something from her, but actually enjoyed her. That's rare. Most men try too hard. They chase, they push, they validate her over and over, thinking more compliments will get them closer to her heart or her body. But that only makes them feel needy, like they're trying to convince her to like them. Real desire doesn't need convincing. The men we remember are the ones who made us feel feminine without trying, who touched our lower back in passing and made our breath hitch, who whispered something unexpected in our ear. Not vulgar, not rehearsed, just honest and connected. That's unforgettable. Women are deeply sensual. We respond to energy more than appearance. A man who's grounded in his masculine energy, who's calm, slow, and attentive. He ignites something in us that other men can't touch. But here's the key. It's not about being overly sexual or aggressive. It's about being tuned in, present. Noticing her, but not needing her. That balance is magnetic. When a woman feels desired, she feels seen. She feels like there's something unique in her that drew you in, not just a body or a look, but a vibe, a presence. And that creates emotional imprinting. She ties those feelings to you. So yeah, she might move on, she might date other people, but she'll compare them to the way you made her feel, that deep feminine alive feeling. And most men, they don't come close, because desire isn't loud, it's not desperate, it's quiet, strong and intentional. And the man who made her feel that, she doesn't forget him. 6. The man who left her better than he found her. Here's the truth most women won't say out loud. The man who leaves a lasting impact isn't always the one who stayed the longest. It's the one who elevated her. The one who helped her grow, challenged her, inspired her, and left her better than he found her. That man is unforgettable. And no, I'm not talking about fixing her or trying to save her. Women don't want a savior. But we do remember the man who believed in us when we were doubting ourselves. The one who spoke to the version of us we were still trying to become. The one who saw the light in us before we fully stepped into it. That kind of energy leaves a mark. Because here's what you have to understand. Women are emotional processors. We feel deeply. We evolve through connection. And when a man shows up with presence, purpose, and clarity, it affects us. It stirs something inside us. It changes how we see ourselves. Some men pull women down. They create drama, chaos, confusion. They make her question her worth, her value, her beauty. And yeah, she might remember him too, but in a wound kind of way. Not in a, that man helped shape me kind of way. The man we never forget is the one who left fingerprints on our growth, not our pain. You want to stand out? Be the man who challenges her comfort zone, but does it with love. Be the man who calls her out, not to criticize, but to call her up. The one who tells her she's capable of more, smarter than she thinks, stronger than she acts, more valuable than she realizes, and do it from a place of grounded masculinity, not ego. That means you're not pushing her to change so she'll be who you want. You're not manipulating her with praise just to get affection back. You're not playing therapist. You're simply being a man who speaks truth, who operates with intention, and who treats every woman he connects with as someone worthy of respect, even if it's casual. Because when a woman reflects on her past, she doesn't just remember the men she liked. She remembers the men who taught her something, who helped her discover something about herself, who left her with a new standard, a new mindset, a new version of who she wanted to be. That man lives in her head in a different way. And it's not about perfection. You don't have to be a guru or a life coach. You just have to care enough to be present, to speak with purpose, to act with integrity, to hold her emotionally, mentally, spiritually, with respect. If you want to be unforgettable, don't focus on impressing her. Focus on impacting her. Leave her better than you found her, and she'll remember you forever. 7. The man she couldn't control, and secretly didn't want to. Let's be real for a second. Every woman has at some point tested a man's boundaries, not because she's trying to be toxic, but because that's how we feel you out. That's how we subconsciously learn where your strength is, your limits, your standards, your backbone. And the man we never forget? He's the one we couldn't manipulate, the one we couldn't wrap around our finger, The one who didn't flinch when we tried to stir drama, get emotional, play cold, or throw out ultimatums. He didn't get defensive. He didn't beg. He didn't chase. He didn't crumble. He stood still, calm, unshaken. And that shook us. Because here's the secret. Women don't actually want a man we can control. We might act like it in moments when we're scared, insecure, or craving attention, but deep down we crave a man who can stand up to us, who can look us in the eye and say, I care about you, but I won't be disrespected. I don't tolerate games. I know who I am. That kind of self-control is incredibly attractive and unforgettable. We don't forget the man who didn't fold under pressure. The one who didn't argue back every time we were emotional. The one who didn't take the bait when we got cold just to see if he'd chase. The one who didn't need to dominate us, but refused to be dominated either. That's masculine energy in its pure form, calm, assertive, grounded, and it drives a woman crazy in the best way. Not because you're playing power games, but because you respect yourself so deeply that we have no choice but to respect you too. And when you show us that version of you, that firm, clear, unshakable man, it unlocks something inside us. It makes us feel safe, because we realize this man won't get lost in us. He won't give up his identity to keep us. He won't let attraction cloud his standards. And that's rare, that's unforgettable. Now don't confuse this with being cold or unavailable. It's not about shutting down emotionally or pretending you don't care. The men women forget are the ones who try too hard to act like they don't care, the fake alpha energy. That's not power, that's insecurity with a mask. The man we remember? He's emotionally available and emotionally strong. He can love a woman deeply, but he won't let her dictate how he moves. He values connection, but he values self-respect more. That's the guy who lingers in our minds. The one who made us want to soften. Not because he demanded it, but because his energy invited it. Because we felt safe putting our guard down around him. Not because he controlled us, but because he didn't need to. And we never forget that man. So if you're the kind of man who stands firm, keeps his dignity, and doesn't lose himself chasing any woman, trust me. She'll remember you long after you've walked away. We don't forget the man who made us feel something we couldn't fake. And more importantly, we don't forget the man who felt like a standard we couldn't easily replace. It's not about how much money you had. It's not about the car you drove or how many sweet texts you sent. It's about who you were when things got real. When we tested you. When we got moody, distant, confusing. Did you hold the line? Did you stay grounded in your worth? Did you make us feel something deep? Even if we didn't admit it at the time, if you did, you became that man she compares everyone else to. Even if she moved on, even if she pretends you never mattered. Trust me, you did. And here's the bold truth. If you're the kind of man who leads with quiet confidence, who doesn't beg for love, who brings calm strength, who sees through games, who makes a woman feel safe without losing himself in her, she will remember you every single time. Now I want to hear from you. What's one thing you did in a past relationship that made a woman come back, or never truly let go? Drop it in the comments. I'll be there replying, because this isn't just a video, it's a conversation. And I respect the hell out of any man willing to learn how women really work. Let's talk.